Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guest this morning joins us all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Her name is Galit Ventura Rozen. She's an executive business performance expert. She's a professional speaker, author, and an incredible influencer. She joins us this morning to talk about her best-selling book, The Successful Woman's Mindset: Unlock the Secrets of Success. Galit, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Carlette.
So I love the book because it speaks to women. Before we talk about speaking to women and making sure that we are of the right mindset, tell me your why.
My why every day, all day long is my 3 kids. I'm a mom first, even though my first baby was my business, and then I had my first child, which is crazy. He's going to be 23 soon. I have to tell you that I want to make sure for my 2 boys and my daughter that they know that anything is possible and their biggest limitation is themselves.
And so when did you start cheering women on? When did that become your passion? Do you remember?
I think probably my whole life. If I thought about my first true memory, a real fun story I've never shared. When I was in high school, there was a fellow girl trying out for the cheerleading team, and she had been on for 2 or 3 years already. And we barely knew each other, and she was really nervous. And I kept telling her, you got this, you got this. And I think it was almost this natural instinct, even though in a sense she was my competitor. I never thought that. I felt like she just needed that extra little motivation. And once I shared with her that, of course, I don't know that it was because of me, but she did make the team again, and I didn't, which was fine.
And you didn't?
Nope, I didn't. I was always a little bit too long-legged in arms, and I tried out, and I was very proud of myself, but I didn't make the team. But that's probably one of my first memories I've never shared before of really supporting women. I was maybe 15, 16 years old.
Wow. And so here's my philosophy, and it's really in keeping with your book. I was a cheerleader for a lot of years. And one of the things that I do, and one of my reasons why, is cheering women on. Talk about why it is so hard for us to really, truly, authentically cheer each other on when one makes it and the other doesn't.
I think that there's a natural component to being human that is competitive. I don't know. I mean, it's society shows it to us from practically the day we're born, if you think about it. I remember when my kids were little, we'd go to Gymboree, or we'd go to a class where they do gymnastics, and there was just a competitive piece to all of it. So I think it's ingrained in us in a very young age. I don't know that it's always purposeful. And what I have found in my experience as I cheer women on, and I've really been a big cheerleader my whole life as well to others, is that as we grow, we learn that it really isn't about being in competition with somebody. It's about being in competition with ourselves and what do we want and how do we want to live our lives. So I think that's why it's a little bit hard for us to cheer other women on sometimes.
One of the things that you write about is being uncomfortable. I want to talk about that because our comfort levels keep us in seasons far too long. Let's talk about the uncomfortable.
Absolutely. So I went back to school when I was 38 to get my master's degree in therapy. Even though I've had my own business for, gosh knows, 25 years now, I decided I wanted to understand how the mind worked. I wanted to understand how to change behaviors, habits, limited beliefs. And so what I found in my
Why did you gravitate toward that? What was it about that made you want to dive into it?
And I felt like learning how to be a therapist, and I even actually thought I was supposed to be a therapist. And then I realized my calling was a little bit bigger than just one person at a time. And so I gravitated towards it because I was really, really interested in, they are my thoughts, why can't I control them?
They are my thoughts. Why can't I control them? Okay, what's the answer?
The answer is that unfortunately, we are brought up in a society where when we talk about ourselves, when we're proud about ourselves, when we share our successes, it's considered bragging. And so we are used to sharing everybody else's joys and successes around us, and we don't always feel comfortable talking about ourselves. And we should. We should be just as proud of ourselves as we are the people that we love and that are around us.
So let's talk about how we begin to change those negative and debilitating mindsets that women have really had bestowed upon us in many cases for so many years. How do we start to make that shift?
Well, the first step is awareness. If you're not aware, you can't make a change. So my first word, I love these words, I use them all the time, Carlette, is aware. Be aware. I am aware that I am challenged with believing that I can apply for this promotion, going out on that first date with someone I don't know, or making a life change in my life. So that's the first thing. The second thing is a choice. Make a choice. I choose to change the way I see myself. I choose to believe in myself, whatever it might be that you're challenged with, because everybody is a little different, but interesting enough, it's usually the same theme when it comes to women. It's just what it is. And then once you're aware and you make a choice, now figure out the how. And that's usually where people stop because they get very overwhelmed with, I don't know how. And I always share with people, there's enough people out there that know how. Find someone that can show you how. Because a lot of times when we're working on ourselves and we're doing the internal work, we don't know how to change something that's second nature for us. And sometimes maybe we're not even aware that we're doing it. And then the last piece, which you touched on, was you got to get uncomfortable with yourself. You have to recognize that change only happens in the uncomfortable. Now, there's nothing wrong with staying comfortable in your life. You're happy and you're good. Stay there. But if you want change to happen, you've got to start getting a little uncomfortable. Doing the work doesn't always feel good. You find things out about yourself that you may or may not like. And now you've got to put work into it every single day to change it.
Wow. Hold that thought. All right, we're going to take an even deeper dive. If you want to make a change and you want to come out of your comfort zone, here's where you start. You start with Galit Ventura Rozen. Her book, The Successful Woman's Mindset. Stay on point. We'll have more of this conversation right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Our guest this morning is Galit Ventura Rozen. Her book, The Successful Woman's Mindset. This is not just any old book about mindsets. This is taking us into ourselves, into our psyches, so that we can really unearth those things, Galit, that we have done for years that are not serving us. Let's talk about making the shift.
Absolutely. It's really interesting because I believe life is a journey. And with each year, I always say I get wiser instead of older. I sometimes feel like I'm getting younger with age. I've learned that when you make a choice to make a shift, that's really the hardest piece. And it's so interesting because so many people think it's the opposite. It's doing the work. But that choice, that understanding, that awareness is the first step to making a shift. So once you make a choice to make a shift, and now you've decided and recognized you're going to get a bit uncomfortable.
Let me stop right there, because
Sure.
a lot of people don't even know that they have to make the choice to make the shift. And I'll tell you why. Because we are what we come from. You know the old adage, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Sure.
All of the habits and the things that we've learned over the years from wherever we come from make up who we are. And until something happens that makes you say, gosh, am I doing that? Am I that? You never really look at the fact that you need to make a change. A lot of people don't. And how do I know? Because I was one of them. You know what I'm saying? Oftentimes it's so hard to look at yourself. Easy to look at others. So how do you start to understand that maybe you haven't reached the altitude, you haven't reached the possibilities that you write about in the book because you got to change some things?
You have a little voice inside your head that talks to you. You have to make a choice to listen to it. And that's not always easy because you don't always want to hear what it has to say. That is really the key to starting. And then once you listen to the voice and you really explore, and that's really about going within yourself. And that's not easy. Why are so many people not good at being alone? or spending alone time with themselves or listening to their thoughts or writing down what comes to them. It's because they don't want to explore that piece. It's not something they want to listen to, because that's when they start making the shift and making the changes and making what I consider sometimes being really hard choices. It's not easy to do that. So when you explore that and you figure it out, that's when the shift starts taking place. It's amazing to me how many people I've worked with that just that awareness and that those words, like you said, they're so powerful. They say it out loud. I realize I'm someone that lets people walk all over me or doesn't take a chance or a risk or doesn't put myself first or whatever it might be. That in itself already becomes an issue of release and shift. And a lot of times the rest of the things start falling in place for them.
And here's what I think you should do in the next book or in the workbook. I think you should write down all of those things, because like I was in a place in a business and I was talking to this young woman and she said, I'm just negative. That's just who I am. But when you start to know that that's who you are, negativity doesn't serve anybody. To be a constant, perpetual pessimist, I think that there are a list of things, self-critical, not easy to get along with. A lot of people have adapted that and said, that's just who I am. Take me or leave me. Well, when you do that, how do you want to change, or do you just want to be a person who is hard to deal with?
I think I've heard things like that a lot. I'm difficult. I have a girlfriend that says a lot, I'm just mean. And I've never seen her be mean a day in her life. And that's just what she has decided. That's the story she's decided to write about her life. So what you're talking about, and I've had people sometimes, I speak on a lot of stages and to a lot of corporations. So I've been on stage once and someone said, I'm tired of people telling me I should be positive.
Wow.
It's not natural for me. And so I turned around and was very empathetic. I'm sorry that you feel that way, but you have a choice to try to change, to work at being something, but first you have to want it. So if you've made this story up about yourself and you've decided to believe it with everything you are, of course it's going to be true. And one of the things you asked, Carlette, was, well, how do you start changing the negative to the positive? And that's something that I learned in my master's degree. You write out every negative thought that you have. And it's so interesting when you do this exercise. A lot of times you're lucky if you even get to a full page. Sometimes it's only a half page. It's not that many thoughts. But the problem is, or the situation is, that you are constantly having the same negative thoughts over and over again. So they feel like they're overpowering your life. So once you make that list, now I say be an attorney. Debate with yourself, rebuttal. Write down 3 positive facts for every negative thought that I am telling you more than likely is not a fact. It's not a fact. So once you write those 3 positives, now that's what you keep with you. If it's in your phone or a piece of paper, every time that negative thought comes up, rebuttal with the 3 positives. So quick example. I'm never going to make any money. People love to say never and can't all day long. Those are 2 words you want to delete from your vocabulary. What if instead you said, I should find a way to make money. I have the opportunity, but haven't found the way yet. So there's ways that you can start changing your words, but other people are making money in this world. Why are you the one that can't? Because you've decided you can't.
Right.
You've made that decision.
Absolutely. And I think that for many people, it's about changing the narrative. A lot of people have been told by somebody in their life who they are and feel like because that's what they owned, somebody else's belief about who they were is what they had to carry. And so that's why I love this book, because it's literally as easy as changing your thinking, changing your mind.
Yes, and it's not always that you need to focus on, okay, wait, this is really hard to do. Instead, you need to think about consistency. I mean, they say all day long, if you're going to start working out, you have to do it for 28 days to really have a habit. And so you really want to think about, this isn't something that happens overnight. This is something that can take weeks, months, years, but it's not about how long it takes. It's about what change has occurred in you and happened in your life that you chose to take action on just from yesterday or from the day before. People have this ability to want this instant gratification or instant immediate change. It doesn't work that way. You've got to recognize it's a process, and you have to be committed to yourself the same way you would be committed to a job or a relationship or a business. And we always put ourselves last and think that we don't have time to work on ourselves. When we don't realize when we put the time to work on ourselves, everything else falls into place.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's simple, but not easy. So I wouldn't say that it's easy. It's a simple concept, but you do have to put the work in. Let me get a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about a word that I absolutely love: possibilities. Stay on point. We're back with more after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. Galit is our guest this morning, and she has written an incredible book entitled The Successful Woman's Mindset: Unlock the Secrets of Success. How did you figure out, Galit, how to unlock those secrets?
Trial and error and a lot of failure. And it's really interesting because people really are scared of failure when they don't realize you cannot know what success is if you don't experience it. You can't know what works and doesn't work. So for me, it's been trial and error. And that's why I wrote this book, because I want people to see in action steps and logical ways and experiences that I've had myself that are very common for women in professional or business world, that there is a way to go ahead and open up yourself to the possibilities.
Let's talk about possibilities. I really love the word because the definition of possibilities is so vast.
Yes. Yes. So one of the chapters in my book is called She is Open to the Possibilities. And it's interesting because when I have this conversation, and I've interviewed probably over 100 different women to get experiences and understanding from them of what they are challenged with. And what I found was they actually giggled. What do you mean I'm not open to the possibilities? What do you mean asking me, am I? Of course I am. And then I say, are you really? And they sit and they wait for a minute. They're like, well, being open to the possibilities really means that when you are putting out the work and something shows up that is a bit scary and uncomfortable, but has the potential to give you something that you desire, if it's a promotion or an opportunity in your life, relationship, whatever it might be, it's saying yes when you still have butterflies in your stomach. You're not sure how to do it, but you're gonna figure it out.
And so for those people who are saying, Galit, you're right on point. I mean, that's what I'm going through right at this moment. But I don't know how to make that leap. I mean, is there a way to tell people how to make the leap?
Yes. Get used to being a little bit uncomfortable. Get used to the butterflies in your body. Get used to the idea that your thoughts are going to work against you. It becomes something that you get used to. And it's not that it ever really goes away. Remember, our bodies are built to protect us. They don't always know the difference between fight or flight or something that maybe is new and foreign that could be good for you. So check your body, say to it, hey, I got this. Let's try this out. And then what you want to do is you want to make a decision, a choice to try. If it feels right for you. Now, please recognize feeling right doesn't mean fear stops you, because fear stops us for a lot of decisions and choices in our life. So fear shows up. I know this is going to sound funny, Carlette, but talk to it. Tell it.
Oh, I agree.
Work your way through it.
And don't you think that that's what happens a lot of times with these thoughts? And I was saying that just this morning on radio. You get all of these thoughts in your head, and you really never battle back with the thought. You just assume that that's your thought. The thought that's telling you you can't be successful. The thought that's telling you that you're not good enough. You're not thin enough. You're not pretty enough. And you just allow those thoughts to become your thoughts because you don't challenge those thoughts.
And that's really the key to success. to controlling your thoughts. And the word control is not the right word, but being able to conquer them. I like that word. It feels so much better. Conquering your thoughts is really based on exactly what you just said. When that negative thought shows up, ask it, why is it there? Is it trying to protect you from something? Okay, wait, if it is, fine. If not, and it's just fear-based and it's uncomfortable for you to say yes, then you need to really question that and sit down with it and work through it. Because fear stops so many people from living their genuine, authentic life. Fear stops people from the most amazing opportunities. And so I have this way where I say yes a lot of times before I even know how I'm going to accomplish it or always what I'm doing. But if it feels right, it means that I'm supposed to go ahead and take that leap. You asked about the leap. I think for me, what I've learned in my experience having so many obstacles, challenges, and a lot of uncomfortable in my life is that every time I'm about to up level in my business or in my career, something tends to go, oh, wait, are you sure you're ready? I mean, I actually talk to myself a lot. Are you crazy? Are you nuts? Can you really do this? And then I ask myself, well, it's here. You've prepared for it. Why are you questioning yourself?
Wow. And so many of us do that, and it prevents us. And I think that that's why this conversation is so important, because I know that there are people this morning that are on the precipice. They're right at the edge of leaping into the next thing. But their mind is saying, and I think that we really have to deal again with those voices. And you have to ask, are those voices serving you? Or are they really holding you back? Are they debilitating you? And when you decide that those voices are not serving you, you cast those down. You say, those are not my thoughts, because they're really not.
Yes. And another activity that really tends to work well with my workshops is this. If your best friend came up to you, the one you trust with everything in your life, and said, I want to, and she says the craziest thing in the world to you, and you're thinking in the back of your head, what, is she nuts? You're going to say to her, you can do that. So why are you not doing that to yourself? Why is it you're going to do that all day long to the people that you love? Tell them they can be whatever they want, do whatever they want, accomplish whatever they want, but you're not saying that to yourself. So when that thought shows up, ask yourself, if that was your best friend, your significant other, your child, whatever, how would you respond? If they said, well, I can't do this, you would more than likely respond, yes, you can.
Absolutely.
So say that to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What's the most important thing, Galit, that you hope that women will take away from this incredible book?
For me, my goal in life is that every woman believes she can. That's my number one goal, because everything starts with believing in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, I believe the possibilities are limitless, because we've seen it. We've seen people that can't see, people that don't have arms, people that don't have legs, and the magical things that they're doing in this life when their limitations aren't even based on what they put in front of them. This is something that just happened to them or was part of their life. So why are we women putting limitations on ourselves every day? So start with believing in yourself. And if you don't know how, find a way to, because there's always a how out there. There's people that can help you, people that can mentor you. There's classes, there's education. There's so many ways to learn how.
Absolutely. And you've got some incredible resources that people can tap into to start the process. Talk a little bit about that before we've got to let you go.
Absolutely. So I offer a lot of free tools just because I know not everyone can work with me or come to one of my speaking engagements. So you can go to empoweringuniversity.com. It's one of the free tools websites that I offer. You can also find over 100 blogs that are all about you and steps that I give you on my website, Galit Ventura Rozen.
There you go. The book is entitled The Successful Woman's Mindset, Unlock the Secrets of Success. Where can we pick the book up at, Galit?
It's on all online retailers, Amazon, Apple, Kindle, Barnes & Noble. It's everywhere. It's very easy to find.
Well, you know what? Congratulations on the book, and thank you. Thank you for the work that you are doing to help us all be our best selves.
Thank you.
Indeed. Galit Ventura Rozen has been our guest this morning. Once again, the book, The Successful Woman's Mindset. Stay on point. We're back right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to the OPT Network. This is my final point on point today. I'm going to tell you, every time I meet another woman who is empowering other women, it gives me lift. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, "Comparison is the thief of joy." And when Galit told the story of being ready for cheerleader tryouts and her empowering another girl, that is so very unusual, especially when the other girl makes it and she doesn't. I think our issues with women and girls starts very early. And if we can all really understand the mindset and we can begin to change it, and we just know that there is enough room for each and every one of us, and that we don't have to try to suppress somebody else's light. We don't have to extinguish somebody else's light to make our flame shine brighter. In fact, when we do that, it makes us look dimmer and darker and less beautiful. The more we help each other, the more we lift each other. I always use this story. I am a literal and metaphorical cheerleader. When a cheerleader builds a pyramid, she doesn't build it alone. Every person in the pyramid has a position and a purpose. And it's just like the pyramids that were built in ancient days. It took the masses to build the pyramid. Our pyramid as women could be so much grander and so much more opulent if everybody just played their position and knew that the person that climbs to the top is going to reach back for the people, the base at the bottom. But see, we first have to know in our hearts that we're okay with reaching back and helping another climb to the top, and that it takes absolutely nothing away from us. I say to women all the time, use this forum. This forum isn't just for me. It is for anybody who is willing. Anybody who wants to come on. We have women from all across the world. We have women from all across the state. If you have something that you are trying to share, that you want to get out to the public, we're here because we know that the more that we give of ourselves, the more that will be given to us. I'm not afraid of someone moving ahead of me because I know that God has a good plan for my life. I'm not afraid to carry the crown. And none of us should be. That's why this book is so important. It's about changing your mind. The successful woman's mindset. Are we willing to do the things in our mind that will change the trajectory of our lives? Sometimes that might be sacrificing what you want, what you need to help someone else. And here's the really big kicker. Sometimes you'll help people and you'll give all that you have, all that you can, and that person may not reciprocate. But here's the point that we all need to understand. You can't get bitter when you help someone and they don't help you back. Because see, you've put it out there in the universe and you've done your part, and that's all you have to do. That person may not be the one to help you climb, but I guarantee you, the universe will put the next right person in your path that will give everything that you need. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to help others. And most importantly, it is essential that for our processes and our possibilities to go forth into the world and be what God has created them to be, we got to change our thinking. We've got to hear those voices and not just hear them and talk back in your mind like you're saying, you're going back and forth in your mind without opening up your mouth. You got to open up your mouth and talk to it. And you have to ask yourself, is that thought serving me? Is that thought a lie? The answer is probably yes. And you start saying, you know what? My thoughts are pure. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You start finding words to talk back to that evil force that is trying to debilitate you and keep you from being all that you can be. And the last thing I want to share, because I thought it was so important in the book, your why. We all have to know our why. Why are you here? Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you passionate about it? Is it what you're called to do? Why are you doing so many things that don't serve you? Your why is probably the most important piece of the puzzle. And when you really understand your why, I believe life begins to open up like an oyster. That's my final point, on point today. Stay with us. We're back to wrap up right after this.